So, let's start. Oh my God, my voice in this micro. So, OK. Ouh là là, ça glisse. Ça. Donc, bonjour tout le monde. Donc, je m'appelle. I'm really happy to be here at the KIKK Festival. So, I am Isha Botin, and I am the International Project Manager of XN Quebec. XN Quebec is a non-profit organization that brings together the experienced producer of Quebec. Thank you to my dear finalists. Yeah, panelists who are going to take part in this conference titled The Montreal Digital Creativity Ecosystem that pushes the technological boundaries to amaze, gather, and engage. So I think we can begin with our bande-annonce, trailer. Vous allez pouvoir voir qu'est-ce que ces personnes font. OK? OK, le son. Il faut le son. So yeah. So they are amazing, so I can leave. It's finished. Okay, so this conference will be divided into three main themes: the ecosystem of the Quebec creative industry, the desire to constantly reinvent itself and push the boundaries of digital art, as well as the pressing issues of the companies on this panel. So normally, I said, before getting into the art of the matter, I would like to introduce our four panelists, but not. You already know them, so it's okay. So
can we see our video still, or it's not?
I'm going to, oui, during our, oui. Mais pourquoi c'est revenu en arrière, tiens? Ah voilà. Voilà. Donc vous allez pouvoir voir les images pendant la conférence. To return to the ecosystem of the Quebec creative industry, the notion of ecosystem has invited the business world. Companies seize organized collaborative work as a way to benefit from collective knowledge and to innovate together, which is the only way to respond to the most demanding and competitive markets. Strange in numbers is a well-known saying. Here in Quebec, we talk a lot about competition, meaning rival companies will often collaborate together. I found that this word resonates more particularly in our ecosystem. For our part, at XN Quebec, our solution has been to set up events that mobilize our members. One of them is the Numix Lab, a new biannual international meeting aimed at accelerating networking and fostering cooperation, co-production, as well as the circulation of works and expertise within the Francophonie. The objective is to federate a Francophone community around digital creativity in order to facilitate collaborations between the cultural, audiovisual, and technological sectors. We also have a consultation forum for the creative industry where experts, consultants, producers, and creators discuss the issues of the moment. And our role as an association is to take the recommendations of this forum to the various ministries and governments. Finally, we have our new project called l'Effet Québec, the Export Expertise Cluster, whose missions, among others, is to promote Quebec's expertise on the international scene. That's why we are here with 15 companies. So my first question, oui? Alors, I think I'm going to begin with you, Véronique Paradis from LASAT. So, what is the strength of this ecosystem in Quebec?
I think it's good to put in image the way we are structured in Quebec. So the ecosystem is really built around a very large pool of creative talent. And around that, you have all the organization, a large network of organizations that provide support for innovation to all these creators. So you have educational institutions, you have research labs, you have incubators, financial structures that can accelerate the ideas to the commercial innovation. And for example, we at SAT we're working on this project where for the Opera of Montreal, who wanted to democratize the art of opera, and through the creation of small AR clips that were meant to be seen on a mobile device, and to put this into place, we needed to bring together a university, the opera, 2 research labs, and a creative studio to all work together in open innovation fashion and deliver this new value proposition.
Great, thank you. Eloi, you want to complete something?
I will complete something. I think, yeah, I feel that the most amazing thing about working in Montreal and in Quebec is the nature of that ecosystem. You were mentioning co-opetition. I feel there's a value of collaboration that is very, very strong. We have pioneers like Moment Factory who've been, for the last 20 years, inspiring us and leading the way. We have partners like Phi Center and LASAT that encourages young companies and young creators to push the limit of the art. And one of the most important accelerators is financing. The fact that we're from Canada, we have access to an amazing networks of grants and financial help. I have the chance to travel throughout the world, and I think there's something very unique, and we're very fortunate to work in this specific environment. There's at 3 levels of government, either municipal in the city of Montreal, or provincial in Quebec, or federal. We have access to amazing grants that allow us to not only create our own pieces with art grants, and as Danielle said in the talk earlier, we took the decision to be an art studio and not a service company. Therefore, we positioned ourselves at the intersection of art and technology, and that makes us available. It makes so many grants available, and I think that if you are courageous enough to navigate that environment, because you need to dedicate a lot of time and use intellect in order to make those grants come true. Well, I think that if we compare ourselves to other ecosystems, we're very fortunate to be able to fund not only our creation, but our research, and therefore push the boundaries of what can be achieved. So I think that it is not, c'est pas peu important that we have access to those grants and those public funding in order to create an ecosystem that has this magnitude of this power of rayonnement and this power of shining throughout the world. So I think that for us at Iregular, the mix of what we can sell to venues and what we can get from the government is a very sweet balance, and it allows us to always push and to create new pieces and push the technology. So we think we're very fortunate to work in this environment and to be inspired by amazing companies like yours, Marie-Pier.
I think that's my turn.
That's it.
That's my cue. All right. Well, I also think that Montreal offers like a kind of playground where creative and innovative companies can meet easily, and we can influence each other. And this kind of cross-pollination really helps us to innovate. So the question we like to ask ourselves is, how can we bridge? You know, like between cool stuff happening in other industries and bring them to our works. At Moment Factory, we don't really create technology, but we like to say that we hijack technology. So, for example, like how can we bring some tools that they use a lot in the gaming industry and bring them in the public spaces? And I think one example of this kind of collaboration between industries in Montreal would be the lightening of the Jean Cartier Bridge. So in 2017, it was the 375th anniversary of Montreal, and the city was looking for a legacy for the city. So they thought, well, we all thought together, let's light up the bridge, which is a really iconic landmark in Montreal. And we decided to work with 6 other local partners, and we could have called them competitors because they were also competitors. But we decided to work together as partners, and well, that ended up being the most innovative and the most connected bridge in the world. So for those of you who've never seen it, have never been to Montreal, well, the bridge changes every night. So, and the bridge is connected with real-time social media, urban data, and we won the Interactive Innovation Awards at South by Southwest like 4 years ago when the bridge was launched. So I think that this project, and you will see it soon on the demo reel, it really broadcasts like the creative in Montreal and the way we're able to work together and mix, you know, like architecture and engineer and technology, art and design. So this is, I think, something really special in Montreal, being able to work together as competitors and working in different industries. And same thing for you.
Yeah, I think pretty much everything was said. I wanted also to maybe rebound on what Eloi said. We're very, very privileged in Quebec, Canada, with the public funding. As you said, access to 3 different, even more actually, but the city, the province, and then the federal. I think a good example, access to a lot of potential, a lot of money, grant, but also they believe in what we do. And one proof of that is that when the pandemic hit, the budget, specifically in Quebec, the budget dedicated to innovation was really going up because it was time to produce and to develop projects when everybody was at home, not necessarily able to, you know, like go around the world. So it was a proof that our governments are really, really believing in what we do. We also have, and I'm sure it's the same here, but I always say the Montreal, the Quebec audience is very curious. They are open to new project, what we have to offer to them. They open to it, and I think that's very important. They never feel they're not blasé, and this is the audience. The Montreal audience makes a big difference, and I strongly believe that. I'm not being chauvin here, but I really think that it's a fact. We also, maybe also what Marie-Pier just said about you won the Innovation Award at South by. We were nominated last South by with the Infinite. We didn't win, but we were nominated in the Innovation Award. And we were lucky enough to get actually a lot of support from Quebec government, from Tourism Montreal, from the federal government. And that shows, because that's the when you are going international, then if you have success outside, then it's bringing back success also in Montreal and in Quebec.
And it's amazing, in this panel we are 4 women. No? No, you can, yeah. Okay. So, pour faire... and a man, yeah. So, pour faire une suite à ce que vous venez de dire, Quebec creativity is recognized as being at the forefront of techno-cultural trends. As good example is with the Cirque du Soleil, which reinvent the art of the circus, and Moment Factory has democratized digital art through video mapping. So, Marie-Pierre, how do you reinvent yourself and push the boundaries of digital art?
Well, I think risk is an essential element. So we need to be able to take risk, and we need to have also space for innovating and experimenting, making mistakes, learning, starting over again. I know we say that a lot, like, you know, you learn when you make errors, and then sometimes it's boring, but that's it. That's how it works. And this is, you know, we're a big company. We have structures and processes, of course, and sometimes it's hard, you know, being in a creative mindset, but with all those processes and structure. But we also always make sure that we have room for trying stuff and experimenting. So in the studio, we have like 3 prototyping rooms. So over 300 square meter of experimentation space. And we also hold a lot of events in the studio. And of course, we like events because, you know, we like to party and we like to have fun and get dressed. But these events are also good, well, they are really useful for us to test out new technology and see how people react through those technology and those experimentations. So that's interesting because each employee at Moment Factory can be part of this experimentation process without working in R&D. And you were talking, I think, Media, hello. You were talking about, Myriam, about like the pandemic, and I think this is something that changed our way to create and innovate. So we started, for instance, working remotely, which is good for the planet, but we also decided to move a part of our studio into the woods in the summer of 2020. So summer of 2020, you remember we were all getting crazy about not being allowed to see people. And, you know, our motto is we work in public, so that was really hard, not being able to create together. So we moved a part of our studio into the woods. We called it the Forest Lab. And the Forest Lab really allowed us to, well, first of all, to work and create together again, like in team, without mask. And we were also able to test new things and see how the multimedia can interact with nature. So that's something that really like changed our way to create and work. And the Forest Lab still exists after more than 2 years. It's about an hour drive from our studio in Montreal. And this is really a good place and a really inspiring place for the creative and the technical team. So that's the way we found to be innovative.
Thank you, Marie-Pierre. Myriam?
Again, we also do a lot of R&D and prototype, and now it's really about Phi Studio, like the entity of Phi who's producing. We strongly believe that it's needed to prototype and R&D, and we believe it so much that when we will be opening the new space in 2026, the actual Phi Center will become entirely dedicated to R&D and develop a prototype for our studio. So that will be approximately 4,000 square meter dedicated to R&D for the studio. So we strongly believe in that. We also launched, because we also like, and I know that the word is hated by a lot of people because we were asked to reinvent ourselves during the pandemic, but we did by opening residencies. So we launched in 2021 3 different residencies, one in music, one in contemporary art, and one in immersive. So Phi Immersive had the first edition earlier this year, like winter 2022. And we launched a second call for project 2 weeks ago, and if there are some artist studios in the room that are interested to apply, the deadline is November 3rd, 11:55 p.m. Montreal time. So we had 100 studios that applied last year for the first edition. It could be Montreal-based, it could be Quebec-based, but it also could be international. So maybe try, you never know, and then you'll get to spend 8 weeks in the winter in Montreal with our studio, but it's really worth it. So residencies, R&D, prototyping is for us really, really important.
Thank you, Myriam. Eloi?
I love it, you call me Daniel. Yeah, well, basically, Iregular is concept-driven. This is what we are. This is what we drink and breathe every day, and we love to push the boundaries. I don't know if you had the chance to see Daniel's conference this morning, but this is what we do every day. We come in the studio and see how we can push, and we are led by the ideas and by the concept, the artistic concept, but the fact that we have the founder and the creator of the studio is a technologist as well as an artist, well, we decided to create our own technology. And I will be coming back to funding again, because without the support of the Canadian Media Fund, we would not have had access to 2 years of having a team of 3 persons working on the development of a technology that uses AI and computer vision in order to create a tracking system that does not exist. We used to work with LiDAR system, we used to work with the Connect, and those are amazing tools, but they did not allow our creative team to push and to express what we wanted to generate in terms of emotion. So using those public funds, we were able to build the tool, and that tool, that proprietary technology that's called Cursor, is what is opening the gate for us to develop new pieces and to go further in what we can create in terms of digital art. The fact that we're working with face tracking, with body tracking, with light tracking on the phone, with multiple users on like immense media facade, well, it unlocks a new toolbox for us. Right now, the Cursor is used only by our studio. Potentially in the future, we might open this tool for other creators and other studios to use. So that's the main idea. So pushing the boundaries is part of our DNA. We're working on it every day. And another aspect where we'd like to push is how we can present the artwork in public space, and this concept of neighborhood scale interactive exhibition in which you will be not only seeing a piece in a park, but mostly going through a parcours or a journey inside a city to experience an artwork. For us, is a way of transforming the cities into live museum, and we think this way is another way of pushing how we can express ourselves and just go further in this digital art realm. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah. At SAT, as a research center, we're very keen on strategic watch and creative watch, so that we can spot some tendencies that are coming up and experiment with new technologies or new use cases. And we definitely have this philosophy of hybridizing knowledges, different disciplines. So we bring to the table some scientists and some artists or designers, and that way we can really build a solution that's more effective. And so we, in the R&D process, we always integrate artists so that they can start imagining new use cases, and that allows us to prototype these use cases and push the boundaries of immersion and telepresence. And as we work with open source software, that allows us to tinker with different sorts of solutions so that we can build on the codes that were developed for different functionalities without having to start from scratch every time.
Thank you, everyone. So our last theme, it's a. So I'm okay. A year and a half ago, XN Quebec mandated a Montreal-based strategic consulting firm to conduct a study of our industry. Our findings, as you can imagine, are that out of a little less than 100 companies in the sector that we have surveyed, more than 2/3 of them have difficulty recruiting an adequate workforce, especially for programmers, developers, and animators. So, Eloi, how do you address these issues in your organization, and how do you prepare adequately for the future?
Well, our biggest challenge at Iregular was handling growth. When I partnered with Daniel 3 years ago, I come from a creative entrepreneurial background. I have a production house that I founded in 2000, and I had the chance to see a creative company grow. And it's always a challenge because you're focusing on creating the artwork, you're focusing on creating the technology, and you must make sure that you can build an enterprise that keeps the culture. When I joined Daniel at Iregular in 2020, there was a team of 4 in place, and 3 years later, 2.5 years later, we're a team of 16 going on 20 and probably 24 by the end of the year. So maintaining that company culture and managing growth in a way that you can make it sustainable is really our challenge. And when you get important funding from the government, allowing you to export more, allowing you to explore new technologies, well, you got to make sure that you have access to amazing talent, and when you get that talent in, that you can nurture them and make sure that they will grow with the company. So that was my responsibility when I came in the studio, and I think that well, we're building something solid. But I think that that was our major challenge at the moment, and I think that Daniel was mentioning it this morning. I think that helping studios become companies and have this business intelligence aspect to it is key in order to go from a one-person artist to 400 people studio while maintaining mental balance. Yeah, I think that would be a challenge.
But you know that we used to be like 2 people too, like back in the day. So we know about the growth. It's a big challenge. Like in 2012, we did like in the same year, we did the mid show of the Super Bowl mid show with Madonna, and a few months later we did a big projection mapping show on the facade of the Sagrada Familia. So the company just boomed, like going from, I don't know, like 40 people, not even 40 people, to 200 people in a few months. So it's a big challenge, I think, for studios in our industry to be able to grow and like keep that culture you're talking about, and having fun working too, because it's also about fun. You know, we work so much, so we need to have fun when we're working. So now for us, like, we're big studios, so the idea is not to get bigger and bigger all the time, but of course, as you said, Isha, like, talent is really a challenge because the industry is booming. We have a lot of opportunities, and it's just hard to find the right people. So yes, we are hiring. So you know, it's really moving fast, and the technologies are changing all the time. So I guess also for us it's hard to find people coming out of schools that are ready to work in such fast-paced company. And I don't think it's like the university's fault, or it's just, you know, it's just really like we work with, you know, with technologies that are evolving and changing every day all the time. So what we decided to do is we created a school in-house at Moment Factory. We call it MF School, so for Moment Factory, not for any other MF that you might know. It's MF School for Moment Factory. So MF School, I know. So MF School develops unique training programs that we do in-house. So it's for our employees, and it's a place where we can learn from each other. It's a place also where people can feed their curiosity. They can just build their own professional development plan. So, for example, we offer onboarding session for new employees, but we also have job-specific trainings, master classes, mentorship, e-learning classes. So we have more than 30 specialized courses that were created for and by and for our employees. We also work with specialists and from abroad. So it goes from storytelling, AI, XR stage, foreign languages too, because we work all over the world, motion design for immersive experiences, Unreal Engine for content production. So we just try to create new kind of classes in-house to help our employees to grow and stay with us too.
Well, in addition to these challenges that we live as well, we're watching closely the place of the virtual world that's blurring the boundaries with the physical world, and that really affects the way we see immersion. So that's what we call the at SAT hybrid teleimmersion. So we use our telepresence technology to connect immersive spaces to our metaverse platform to create hybrid experiences. So, for example, we have this project with the Montreal Symphonic Orchestra. They wanted to explore what the virtual world would have to, how it could help to give a different channel of diffusion for and broaden their audience. So we're doing all this capture of very high quality audio symphonic music in the symphony house, in the symphonic house, and diffusing it eventually in real time in different venues, so that people can share that experience in a sort of a hybrid way. So we can imagine it projected in the dome with the spatialized audio, and also you can navigate the audio scene in the virtual world. So we're really looking forward to find some tools for scenography, because it becomes very much of a challenge to do the scenography of these spaces. Also, we have to pay close attention to mediation in the virtual space, because people aren't familiar to navigate in those kinds of places, and they kind of miss the essence of the experience if you don't hold their hand, basically. So all the design codes that we have in the physical space, we have to find a way to transfer it to the virtual space, and that's one of our big challenges.
I'll be quick because I think we're at time, but obviously I can relate to everything was just said now. We at FI, we are like in between. We are approximately 100 people working for the different entities. And when I started there, we were 2. It's a while ago though. But I think you said universities, it's not their fault, but I think like Montreal is fortunate enough to have 4 universities in one city. So I think that universities have to offer more courses that are, we challenged, for instance, to find developer, coder, programmer for the type of production we are doing in VR or AR or AI. We just hired an AI specialist. But I think if universities and also colleges were really in sync with what's the demand is, that would be, I think, a great fact. And we'll get there, I hope. We are not hiring now, but we will be hiring for 2026, obviously, so for this new venue. But yeah, I think colleges and universities have a big responsibility, and they have to help us form the new generation or the new artist, the new coder, programmer that we need to hire.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody. You were amazing. Et for the conclusion, ça va être en français. On est en Wallonie, on est québécois. J'ai pas eu le temps de faire la traduction. Pas vrai. Donc en fait, on m'a dit, comme on dit au Québec, ça va être bizarre, la première phrase que je vais dire, on dirait qu'on se pète les bretelles, mais apparemment, XN Québec a quand même su rassembler près de 160 membres qui font vraiment la force en fait de cet écosystème. Et grâce aux missions qu'on organise à l'étranger, grâce à tous ces projets qui rayonnent finalement à l'international, grâce à des marchés comme Montréal qui invitent cette année, c'était la semaine passée à Montréal, ils ont invité plus de 150 acheteurs internationaux grâce justement aux délégués, aux attachés culturels et économiques de tous les gouvernements du Québec qui se retrouvent un peu partout dans le monde. Et donc le support aussi au niveau gouvernemental nous permet aussi de faire toutes ces activités, évidemment. Donc grâce à ça, on peut se permettre de se déplacer, puis de faire des missions, puis de faire rayonner les expertises québécoises à l'international. Donc on en est super fiers, on espère que vous avez apprécié cette conférence, puis on se voit au bar pour des shots.